We are live. Wide Right College Football Playoff Edition. Again, more playoffs and bowl games. And more playoffs and more bowl games. So we're going to start off tonight talking about the playoff games. Well, we're going to talk about something else to start with. Before we get too involved, I'm going to bring on the panelists, and then I'll kind of throw something up, and we'll talk about it for a minute, and then we will discuss the remaining bowl games and the CFP College Football Playoff semifinal, and then obviously we'll come back and have another show for the finals, kind of recap the season and all that stuff. So, with that said, bring on first. He's the pride of the Dripping Springs Tigers. Please welcome to the show, Christian. What's up? You get your calories in? Your friends making money right now? Well, tell your friends to log on and watch so we have more viewers.
You could always do that.
Yeah, see? What kind of friend is he? We have somebody joining us automatically. Bocce, she says, hi, Cass. Hi, Bocce. She says hi to you too, Christian. Our next panelist, he says the West Coast is the best coast. You can't spell the SEC without S and C. Please welcome to the show. Cool. Jude, Santa Cruz. What's happening, Jude?
What's going on, guys? Fight on.
I kind of know what's happening now. I already talked to both of them in the backstage, so. Pat Paulson in the house. Bocce in the house. Christian in the house. And we got Cool Jude Santa Cruz. Got to have his alias on here. I'm going to wait for a second for Hunter to show up because I kind of want him to be a part of this too. But I hope everybody has had a happy New Year and Merry Christmas and all the stuff. I didn't see you the last time. If I've seen you for the first time today, we're excited to have you here. I'm going to go ahead and kick this off now. Before we get started, I want to just recognize all the people that lost family members on New Year's Eve. That's a tough deal. I can't imagine being there. Seeing the videos from it was really, really hard for me. Like I said, our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that's affected by this. So we'll start with that. As far as the football goes, football is definitely secondary. That really knocked the wind out of my sails. I got something else going on too, but that really knocked the wind out of my sails. So, I mean, it was fun to watch the football game today, but I wish it was under different circumstances. So,
yeah, that was a horrible tragedy, man. I didn't know there was footage. I just read about it. I didn't see it. I don't want to see it, to be honest with you, but it's not anything worth discussing as far as that goes. But with that said, we had some really good games yesterday. We had a really good game today. There were some good bowl games. Just kind of recap from last week. We'll start with some recap here from last Friday. Syracuse and Washington State played an absolute shootout game, 52-35. Man, that was such a big game. A big upset last Friday as well. Navy defeats Oklahoma. How about that?
We got our fourth panelist here. Add to the stage, Hunter. What's happening, Hunter? Oh, he bounced out. And then we had Georgia Tech goes down to Vanderbilt. Kind of a back and forth game down to the last minute. We have Arkansas absolutely destroying Texas Tech. And then Jude, did anything happen Friday night? I don't remember.
Man.
Oh man,
that was.
You know, somebody on this panel talked about blowing fourth quarter leads.
Yeah. They're very true. They're very true.
Oh man,
but
USC with the big W over Texas A&M.
Good way to end a bad season. So I was happy to see that. I think Hunter was saying J.D. Mayalva was just a stud, kind of like out of that Patrick Mahomes gunslinger role, and he proved it that night. I personally wasn't a fan of the kid, but I mean, I got to support whoever's throwing the ball for our team.
Well, he got you to win. All right, let's see. Let's try this one more time with Hunter.
7 seconds left.
All right, Hunter, you there?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear y'all. Can you hear me?
What's up, Hunter?
Yes, L and
Okay,
C. Christian's eating, that's why he's got the mute button on. I was telling Jude, Jude was talking about, this game that happened on Friday night. I asked Jude, I go, "Damn, didn't you say somebody's bad with fourth quarter leads? I mean, when you lead with like a couple seconds left in the game, it's kind of hard to lose." But then on Saturday, and something kind of weird, on the 28th, Iowa State defeats Miami, but Miami's quarterback plays, but he only plays for the first half.
Yes, I saw that. Cam Ward only played the first half.
If I was going to pick a half, I'd want him to play the second half. You know what I mean? Like, if we're only going to do a half, can we do the other half? And then number 17, BYU takes down Colorado handily. That was a beatdown. I don't want to rag on Colorado too much, but I kind of saw that one coming. Army gets a cakewalk W against La Tech. UConn defeats North Carolina. North Carolina is awful at this point. Boston College got beat by Nebraska, and they play. I hate games that they play at baseball stadiums, and it was wet there, and it snowed. The field was coming apart. I don't know why we continue to play football games on baseball fields. And then we had, trying to find my bearings here. We had Louisiana and TCU play, and Louisiana UL, the Raging Cajuns, got annihilated by TCU. Wasn't even close.
They got beat so bad they went back to being ULL.
ULL. And then Miami of Ohio defeated Colorado State, and that game was never close. And then in a shocker, East Carolina coming up with a W against North Carolina State in a game that went by in about, well, yeah, you called it. But in a game that went by, I think it took them about an hour and 22 seconds to play because this thing was over. I watched another game start before it and finish after it, and they played there in a whole game in between like the half. There must have been 100% runs in that game. Then on Monday the 30th, I watched Missouri somehow win against Iowa.
We can talk on PlayStation.
I don't know.
Would you control it?
And then we had our first college football playoff game versus the Penn State Nittany Lions and the Boise State Broncos. I listened to some of the game, but I was busy shooting fireworks off, so that was good. And then
What's wrong with you?
Michigan defeats Alabama 19-13, and pretty much just if you watch the first quarter of the game, the best part of the game was I think it rained about 12 inches in the first about 7 minutes of the game, and it really just screwed Alabama just completely. But one team has to take advantage of the opportunities, and Michigan did. South Carolina and Illinois were in an absolute slugfest. Illinois comes out on top of that one. That's a pretty good game, actually. This Louisville-Washington game, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, never leaves you wanting for less. Washington loses on the last second. And then I picked Baylor to beat LSU, and boy, was I wrong because LSU kicked the shit out of Baylor. Baylor did come back, but it was never close. And then yesterday, January 1st, we had the Oregon Ducks go down in tremendous fashion to the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think the Buckeyes kind of ward off some bad juju there, and they eliminated the Ducks. And then Texas survives a 2-overtime thriller versus Arizona State. The Cam Scattaboo Bowl is what the Arizona State fans are going to call for. They're going to call for, them to be the national champions. But unfortunately, they didn't win this game. Arizona State goes down. Texas wins, somehow survives. And then currently playing Ole Miss and Duke. And I believe the last time I checked, Ole Miss was leading 24-7, which means they're covering. Well, no, they're not covering. They have to score again. They got it because I think it's 17.5 points. They gotta get the hook.
No, not the hook.
They gotta get the hook.
Not the hook. It's all right. I don't know how Duke scored a touchdown. I didn't really see that, but I don't think it's going to change.
They drove the ball down the field on Mississippi State. Or Ole Miss State. Sorry, Mississippi State's at home.
Plenty of teams done that. Just ask Kentucky.
All right. So let's revise history here. Let's go back in time.
Yeah.
Jude, what do you think about this USC A&M game? Were you happy to see USC put it together in the fourth quarter and come back and win one like that? Did that give you some hope going into next year?
Yeah, it did. It was very cool for them to turn, like they basically did the opposite of what they've been doing all year long. Instead of giving up the lead, they took it. But I'm really not going to be happy until that $88 million contract's done.
But what if you get good all of a sudden? Then you'll be like, maybe it's not that bad. It's value pay.
He values offense way too much. He doesn't. He needs to build up our defensive line, our secondary, and the trenches are where you win games, man. We need offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers. That's what I think. And he's looking for 5'7" wide receivers that run a 4.3 40. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Hunter. Back to Friday as well. What did you think about this Navy win over Oklahoma?
Yeah, it started out Oklahoma. A lot of people are like, Oklahoma started out with a super dominant lead, and I really didn't see it. I thought they had two kind of gimme touchdowns that was done off of not necessarily trick plays. Actually, one did take a trick play, but they kind of just lucked into two touchdowns. I really didn't feel like Navy was out of the game at all. I even said it to you. I was like, look, Navy just has to buckle down, run their offense, and eventually they're going to break through. Oklahoma's run defense isn't sound, nor is it disciplined, and it's exactly what happened. Navy went down, got a score, stopped Oklahoma on fourth down again, got another score, and then it was Blake Horvath runs the longest touchdown run in the history of Navy football at 95 yards off of basically a super simple QB insert midline read, just straight gone. And it just proved my point that Oklahoma's run defense is very unsound. And then it's just you kind of see that Oklahoma – we'll see how they replace Stutzman in the coming year. But without him on the field, the defense was lost without Stutzman on the field.
Yeah, and they're missing
and Billy Bowman. He didn't
Bowman.
play either. So we'll
Billy
see how
Blanks
Oklahoma
wasn't there,
replaces those guys. We'll see how those guys get replaced. But they struggled mightily without those guys on the field. Navy beat Army. That's really cool. And Navy's a really good team. But no SEC team should lose to a service academy in the way they did. They got dominated. And then on the last play of the game, Oklahoma lucked into that touchdown. And then on the last play of the game, Navy just sends a blitz, and Oklahoma has no way to handle it. So that's kind of my take on the game is that Oklahoma lucked into an early lead and couldn't keep it and lost.
All right, we got to talk about this Arkansas Tech game because I thought Tech would have a better showing than they did. Arkansas lined up and kicked their ass.
I thought
from
too. I thought they were going
to
win.
finish. Yeah, Christian, what do you think about that Arkansas Tech game in between bites?
I was very happy about that game because I wanted Arkansas to win from the beginning.
There you go. Christian picked it. I thought Texas Tech would have a better showing. They did not look good. But I'll say something about Tech. Their freshman running backs look pretty good. They looked the part, but the rest of the team did not look the part. They're going to have to find a quarterback at some point.
No, Taylor Green looked fine. Oh, Tech.
No, Texas Tech. Yeah, no. Taylor Green looked good. He looked good.
Especially for injured. He had an ankle injury. I thought it was going to be a classic Big 12 game. At first, we started, I think we were about 14 points apiece. I was like, oh, man, this is going to be a straight-up shootout. And then it just turned to Arkansas pulled away. Tech just forgot what football was. And really, Barron Morton just didn't do anything. They were struggling with, they had a good thing going when they were running the ball with Cameron Dickey as your smash and the Williams cat as your slash, and it was working, and they went away from it. They tried to throw the ball more, and Barron Morton missed the throws. Or not Barron Morton. They have a true freshman quarterback. He'll be good in a couple of years, but he needs some seasoning. But also, they were without their offensive coordinator. We'll see how they do with Mac Leftwich. Anyway. All
right. Let's we're going to cover two games on Saturday for certain here. I want to talk about the Iowa State-Miami game. What a weird deal. You're going to play a half. Play the whole half. Play the whole game. Why are you playing a half? Is it any less probable that you get injured?
It was to break the record. I mean, he
That's
wanted to not get
stupid.
injured, but he played just long enough to break the record, and then he sat. And I don't like that. Like, records mean something to me. You need to earn them.
What about you, Jude? What do you think? Would that leave a sour taste in your mouth if your quarterback just played long enough to break the record, but you lost the ball game?
Man, yeah, that's a tough way to go. I mean, I know he's got aspirations to be a top pick. He played 13 games. What would 2 more quarters be? You know what? I would have played. I would have continued to play instead of just breaking the record. Try to play 2 more quarters and put it out of reach. Throw another 300 yards and just like smash that record
and help your team win this game.
Exactly.
Well, you lost by 1 point, 42-41.
Yeah. All right, then we got to talk about the Valero Alamo Bowl, which BYU lined up and they kicked Colorado's ass from one end of the field to the other.
What do you call that?
Belt ass. It was a belt
ass.
Colorado they haven't won to a team with a winning record this year, and then they haven't beaten anybody in the conference that's higher than 8th place. So they had a fortunate schedule. A lot of the teams they played weren't very good, and the teams that were semi-good, I mean, Kansas beat them down really bad. Nebraska beat them down really bad, and then BYU beat them down really bad. And those are all teams that run the ball and play defense. So
their best win was Tech.
Yeah, who almost lost to Abilene Christian. So
won 8 games.
Yeah. Anyways, not to beat up on them too bad. They still have the Heisman Trophy on the winner on their team. They didn't play all that great. The Alamo Bowl was a much hyped game, like the People's Big 12 Championship. It was. Here, hold on a second.
It looked like
see
the
if I
other
can find
Big 12
the. Hold on.
It was a
hold
straight
on.
up blowout. I mean, it's what it was.
Here. That's kind of how I felt. I was like, this is awkward. But anyway, all right. That's going to wrap it on Saturday. The rest of the games were good. Like, I hate baseball field games. I wish they would quit playing the Fenway Bowl and the Pinstripe Bowl because they're both affected by weather, and they were horrible to watch. I mean, the fields were shit the whole time. So that's my opinion. I don't know what y'all think, but
I've seen back in I'm going to date myself, like 1990 or 91. I went to go see USC play Fresno State, and it was in Anaheim where the Angels play. Mm-hmm. It was called they call it the Big A. I don't know what it's called now, but and it was horrible, man. I mean, I didn't like it.
Oh, I was talking about not playing football games on baseball fields. The Fenway Bowl, they had like a dip in the field where they brought turf to put on top of the diamond instead of just removing the baseball portion of the field. I have a better idea. The Patriots play like not that far down the road in Foxborough. Play the game there.
There you go. You just solved it. Solved that.
Those stadiums pay to be a part of the whole system. So,
well, they need to come up with a better field solution because the field was bad. Like, I'm surprised nobody got hurt. Bad.
I hate the game. I really just wish that they played it somewhere else.
And then the fact that the two teams are on the sidelines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just disappointed in a fight.
Maybe they should start with a fight and then finish with a football game. You know what I mean? They have 2 trophies.
For the Fenway Bowl.
I mean, like, you just go into the neighborhood, you got to be careful, you might get stabbed. Anyways, all right, let's move on to Monday and Tuesday. Monday, I don't know how Missouri won that game.
Iowa came out and they used the quarterback to run, and it looked like it was going to work. And then they got they refused to adjust, and Missouri adjusted. They couldn't cover Marquise Robinson, and he looked really good. I mean, he'll be a great future player for Missouri. I think he'll do really well. Missouri's going to have to replace their quarterback though, so we'll see how that works for them. And then Iowa called for a QB sneak, and their quarterback, instead of sneaking it behind their center, stood straight up
He
and
ran
down
into the
and ran
defender
to the left.
instead.
It's a QB sneak. Follow the center.
It's like he is shaving points. All right. Penn State, Boise State. I didn't watch a lot of this game. I could only listen to it. What did you think on this one, Christian? Did you watch any of the Penn State, Boise State game?
Yes, and I'm very mad about that game because I was really hoping for Boise to win, and I'm very mad that Ashton Genty was 28 yards away from breaking Barry Sanders' season record from 1988. I mean, but I was hoping he would break the record, as well as they're a really good team, and I was hoping they would stay in, and I'm a little disappointed that they didn't show up like they could have.
Just remember, Barry Sanders had 227 yards that season that they didn't count from the bowl game.
He also did all of that in 12 games.
Yeah. So, but for Christian's defense, Barry Sanders was cheering for Ashton Genty to break the record. So, gotta go with that. Jude, what do you think about this Penn State Boise State game?
It was kind of. I thought Boise State didn't show up. They did box up Ashton Genty pretty good. You know, I think he did get 100 yards, but it took him like 30-something carries. And, you know, you take him away from Boise State, there's not much more they can do. And Penn State just showed they belong, man. It's, you know, they're, 2-0 in the playoff now, moving on to face – who are they playing? They're playing Notre Dame. And isn't it crazy, man? Look at the seedings. Now, I know a lot of it has to do with the conference champions having to be high seeds, you know, like Boise State and Arizona State and whatnot. But still, look at the seeds. It's like 6, 7, 5, and 3 or something like that. All the 1 and 2 are gone.
I think it's 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Is it 5, 6, 7, and 8? Is that what it is?
Yeah, because all the seeds were all the higher ranked teams. So, but. Hunter, do you have anything to add on the Penn State-Boise State game?
Yeah, I mean, Penn State kind of did exactly what I thought they would. They put the ball in Max Madsen's hands. They took it away from Genty. And Madsen, he made a couple mistakes. Genty made some mistakes himself, too. But really, the offense – yeah, he caught the ball at once. Madsen, he missed some throws. But one of the things that hurt Boise State the most was they couldn't stop Tyler Warren. They had no one to cover Tyler Warren, and Penn State just went to him time and time again when it mattered most. I don't know if Boise State, if you can take him away, if Boise State wins or not. They played valiantly, but they came out flat to begin, and I think you saw that across all 4 quarterfinals is how flat the teams came out that had the bye week came. I mean, taking 3 months off right through the Christmas break, yeah, it's just not a good combination.
Yeah.
Is it true Notre Dame can never get a bye because they're an independent?
Yes.
That is currently true.
Unless they change the system?
I bet they change it. I bet
they're probably going to change it.
Yeah. All right. This isn't a playoff game. This game didn't really have a whole lot of impact on anything. The ReliaQuest Bowl. And Michigan beat Alabama twice this season. Or twice this calendar year. Not the season, the calendar year. They beat them in the playoff last year, and then they beat them in the ReliaQuest Bowl this year. Man, I tell you what, Jalen Milroe made a ton of mistakes to start the game. Once the ball dried up, he did play a little bit better. But man, what a hot mess Alabama is right now. Glad I'm not there. What do you think about this game, Hunter?
Alabama played right into. I have to say, I saw this tweet that described the game in a way that I thought was hilarious. Is that both quarterbacks played the way that racists think that black quarterbacks play, which is I thought was pretty funny. But they played really poorly.
We won't go there. Let that one go.
Jalen Miller played really poorly, and I was really disappointed. And I didn't like Alabama's plan of attack. But Michigan drug them into a rock fight that Alabama wasn't prepared for. Alabama tried to be this throat team, and Michigan just denied it for them. And I liked Michigan's game plan. I thought Alabama played right into it, and it looked like they kind of had Kalen DeBoer mentally blocked up, and Jalen Milroe couldn't do anything. And I don't know. Don't go into rock fights with Michigan.
Yep. All right, Jude. Did you watch this game at all?
A little bit. I don't think the kid in the board. I think they should have. Did they even attempt to talk to anyone like Sark or Kiff or
Yeah,
Dabo?
DeBoer is the third choice because their first choice was Sark, and Sark said no, and then their second choice was Mike Norvell. So they may have lucked out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and then the third choice was DeBoer.
Man.
But
I don't think they could have got Kiff to leave, but I think they should have talked to him. I think you and I talked about this last year when I said Kiff was waiting for Saban to retire. You're like, nope, that's Dabo's job. And any of those guys, I think, could keep Alabama roaring the way that Nick Saban had them going. But man.
Well, here's the number one thing: you never want to be the guy that follows the guy. I say this all the time. Charlie Strong followed Mac Brown. What happened to Charlie Strong, right? Like whoever's going to follow Nick Saban's never going to live up to Nick Saban, and it's always going to affect them. It's not like they're going to keep the train rolling. They're going to have a hitch in the giddy up, and then it'll take a little bit of time. It's like the next coach after Bear Bryant didn't. You never want to be the guy following the guy.
Ray Perkins. I don't think they won a national title under him. I'm looking.
You know who was an oddball national title winner for Alabama? It was Gene Stallings, man. He got them a title.
Hey, Gene Stallings is
I like him.
He's the innovator of NIL. All right, let's just be honest.
Okay. Bear Bryant Jr. is the innovator of NIL. Bear Bryant Jr. and his
when Gene Stallings was at A&M. Come on.
But
he's the innovator of NIL. Look, the true innovators of NIL was SMU, but they're not here anymore. The governor of the state told the whoever was like, I know it's illegal, but we still have to finish making our payments.
I believe it was the Dallas the Southwest Conference invented NIL. If anyone wants to really know how bad cheating can get, just look up the Southwest Conference between the years of it, whenever it was born and whenever it died.
You think it's we're getting off topic, but you think SMU deserved the death penalty?
No.
It took them a long time to become, to
get back
reputable again.
Oh, I mean, here's the deal. They can literally outspend almost anybody in any sport because they're a private school and their donor base, they aren't rich, they're wealthy. Have you ever seen the interviews with the SMU fans? They're like, what are you doing? How much are you worth? And they're like, my dad, I own like 3 houses. My dad's he manages a $1 trillion portfolio, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I know a friend of mine, not really a friend, teammate of mine from high school. He was our quarterback. He went to he was the third string quarterback at SMU. Before Sonny Dykes took the job, and I saw some of the pictures that he would post, and decently well-off family, but what the car he drove was nothing in comparison to the cars that the people around him drove. A 5-year-old Chevy pickup compared to today's Lambo.
Yeah, a Bentley. You're like, we're just getting by. I got a Bentley. All right, let's get to the big enchiladas here. Wednesday, the early game, Texas and Arizona State. Texas jumped out to a healthy lead and then let Arizona State climb back in. Cam Scattaboo had 143 rush yards and like another 42 yards passing. And Quinn Ewers had 322 passing yards with 4 touchdowns and 2 turnovers. But
3 touchdowns
it was a back and forth.
Air.
And 1 rushing. The game was. Texas
didn't be quarterbacking Notre Dame next year.
Doubtful. I mean, I'll say this. So, but let me finish with this. My opinion of the game was back and forth. I don't really think that you can't complain about penalties because Arizona State didn't have any offensive penalties, and there was some clear effective holds that cost the game, or that allowed Arizona State to get back. Also, there was a lack of a lineman downfield call on a halfback pass. That's why the safety was freaking, or the corner was freaking out, because you can't have linemen 7 yards downfield on a pass. But it goes back and forth. You know what I mean? Like, the referees are not good. I hope Big Ten. This leads us to something that we're going to talk about in a second. Anyways, just to recap, Arizona State comes back. Scatterboog leads the team. They play a double overtime game. They had Texas at a 4th and 13. Texas scores a touchdown to keep their season alive. Goes ahead and scores again and
who's
wins the
that
game.
number 2 on Texas? The receiver,
Matthew Golden.
Man, the announcers in that game, they kept nailing it. Oh, you got to go to Golden at this moment. Boom, touchdown. You got to every time, man. You got to go to your best players, and Golden showed why he's one of their best players, man. He pulled out
at towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter, when it looked pretty bleak, and I told Dad, I was like, look, they have to get away from trying to run the ball at this point. It's not working. They need to go to an air raid system. And I was like, Matthew Golden, he played for Dana Holgorsen at Houston. This guy knows how to play air raid football. Go do it.
Yeah, I mean, the plays that Ewers threw to him, I mean, like, nobody can make those throws. I mean, those were ridiculous throws that he was making. I mean, he was throwing the ball into a box where only one person could catch it, and that one person was Matthew Golden. Yeah. And Matthew Golden's been a great addition to the team this season. He was a wide receiver last year.
I give kudos to ASU. They showed that they deserve to be in the game, but 4th and 13 or 4th and 14, whatever it was, to move on. How does Golden get that wide open in the back of the end zone? It's like,
cover zero blitz.
Where's your safety, man? It's like, come on.
Yeah, they didn't give their defense any favors, because they shouldn't have sent Heat on a play where he only had to take one step. And speed kills, But did Texas shoot themselves in the foot a ton? Absolutely. The middle of the game, they couldn't get any offense going. We'll kind of preview what's going on in the next one. But it was a good game. Christian, I know Christian was upset by this game. Christian, what do you think about this game?
That's a good day to call it.
Shut up. I'm very upset with this game because, I mean, the refs didn't call anything like whatsoever on Arizona, and it sucked. And honestly, Burt Auburn is a very good kicker, and I'm still a little mad because that first kick, I don't know what happened, but that second kick, he overcompensated for the first kick.
So wasn't that first kick?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Right? Christian, I'm not trying to make fun of you.
Wide right.
All right. And then the only other thing is the next time a team's staffers run between the kicker while he's doing his warm-up kick, he needs to kick them in the fucking head, because the ASU ball girls ran right in front of him as he's getting ready to take his warm-up swing.
Oh, man. Yeah, I would have just kicked the ball and nailed her in the head, man.
Well, he probably would have broke his leg, which we would all been fine with. We're like, oh, my God. Well, what people don't know is he actually tried to, hang himself last night, but he couldn't kick the chair out from underneath his feet.
Oh, my God.
Come on.
That's terrible. That's terrible. He was going to go and, actually what was going to happen is he was going to go get drunk and drive his motorcycle off a cliff, but he couldn't kickstart it.
Oh, that's a dig at USC right there, too.
Oh, fourth quarter?
Oh, man. All right. Anyways. All right. We'll preview some games here in a second. We'll preview some games coming up. And in Ohio State, just laid the absolute wood to Oregon in the first half. But they've come out. They meddled around at the end of the second quarter. I like Ryan Day's talk at halftime where he was like, "Hey, we can't let them come up with these scores. We're going to put them down in the second half," and they for the most part did. I think Oregon shot themselves in the foot with a lot of bad decisions made on the sideline. I don't know. It looked like Dan Lanning was talking NFL jobs or something. He did not look like his heart was in this game. So that was my thoughts on that one. Hunter, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, I mean, Oregon came out completely flat. We didn't see the first quarter of the game because obviously watching the Texas game still. But yeah, Oregon came out completely flat. They looked flat up until the end of the second quarter. They started to find some offense, And really, it looked like finally Oregon's like, okay, yeah, we're in a game. And it's like, it's already over. You know, you're down 31-0. It ends up 34-0. And then you go 34-8 into halftime, come out, get the touchdown. 34-15. I mean, like Oregon can get back in this game. They stop Ohio State, and then they go and punt. You know, you have to. You can't. Like, I don't care if you're on your 20-yard line. If you punt here, you lose the game 100%. You have to go for it, and they punt. And Lanning just runs a surrender play in punting on 4th and 4. It's 4 yards. You have Dylan Gabriel. I didn't like it. I thought right there, all right, all the momentum Oregon had, done. They got some scores, so it's not as bad, but it was an ass beating. It was just straight up ass beating. Oregon came out completely
What would you say
flat.
it was belt to ass?
It was belt to ass. It was. Oregon came out completely flat, completely unprepared. You know, Dan Lanning had that great speech before they played Colorado last year about, you know, clicks and likes and stuff and substance, and it literally looked like Ohio State was playing with substance and Oregon was playing for clicks. But I will say this, you know, Oregon did keep their word. Their logo still represents how many national championships they have.
Oh, boy. All right. Let's talk about the game today. Like we said at the beginning of the show, our thoughts and prayers go out to all those affected by the tragedy that happened in New Orleans. We don't want to oversight that. You know, football is something we get to enjoy, and every once in a while, real life gets in the way. We need to recognize real life things that happen. But at least we were able to watch come back and watch a football game today. So that just shows you the resolve of the area. You have Notre Dame go in today, and Georgia was the favorite in this game. They're basically, you know, they had them picked to go back to the college football playoff or the semifinal here. And Notre Dame comes out and beats Georgia, basically playing Georgia football. You know, they ran the ball, they play good defense, and then, you know, except for the quarterback ran the ball primarily for Notre Dame. So I wasn't surprised at the outcome. I picked Notre Dame. I'm a Notre Dame homer. I am a self-admitted Notre Dame homer. I have a Notre Dame beanbag chair sitting right next to me. I have a Notre Dame blanket right over here. I've got a Notre Dame hat right over there. I'm a Notre Dame homer. So, you know, I wasn't surprised at all. What do you think on this one, Jude?
Total opposite. I thought if there was going to be a BTA game, for sure this was going to be it. And I thought Georgia would just dominate them. I mentioned last week how whenever Notre Dame gets in an extremely important game against an SEC team, you know, it's 38-8 or something like that. And that's what I expected. But they proved me wrong. They 100% proved me wrong, and I'll tip my hat to them. You say, move forward and let's see what they can do next week. And I'm thinking Penn State and them are going to be a really good game. And I'm looking forward to that game.
We'll preview that here in just a second. Christian.
Yes.
Did you watch the Notre Dame Georgia game?
Yeah, we were watching that earlier. It was pretty good.
What did you think?
I mean, it wasn't
turnovers for Georgia.
Yeah, there was a lot of turnovers for Georgia. I mean, obviously it wasn't for us. It wasn't like the biggest game. We weren't paying too much attention to that one. But I mean,
one-sided.
Yeah, it was.
It was a pretty even, but leaning towards the other team.
There's two teams.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the other one.
Okay.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was just leaning towards one side.
Yep. All right. Well, update here. Looks like Ole Miss is going to cover this hook for us, though. For you degenerates out there, the score is 38-7. Ole Miss. Just throwing it out there. Just Ole Miss is going to go ahead and cover that hook. All right, Hunter. Jude? What did you think about the? Oh, I'll get you on this one. Hunter, what did you think about this Georgia Notre Dame game?
Well, while watching it, I was surprised about. I thought it'd be a bit closer, but I thought Notre Dame was going to out physical Georgia, and exactly what they did. And I said it in the other show. is that it's going to be look a lot like how Ole Miss beat Georgia. The quarterback run's going to kill them. And I even said, and I said it while we were watching the game, I said it to you, is that I don't know why this has been, but ever since the zone read offense was invented, every team that plays Georgia with it, West Virginia, everybody that plays Georgia with it, beats them. Georgia is fundamentally unable to handle the zone read, and Riley Leonard killed them with it. Also, Georgia had a revolving door at left tackle, and, man, they couldn't stop a soul. The quarterback got hit in the back so many times. I mean, Gunnar Stockton played valiantly. I'll say that for sure. But, yeah, he just got hit so much, and Georgia was just out of it. Everyone wants to go make a comment about Patrick Jones getting in the way. That sucks for the kid. He's going to it sucks for him that happened. But Georgia lost because they got out-coached and out-physicaled, and they couldn't handle the zone read from Riley Leonard.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Doesn't have to worry about them at least.
What's that?
There ain't going to be a round 3, Texas and Georgia.
Well, I mean, next year, but
thank God,
or later this year. But hey, well, hopefully we can get the Cass college football Super Bowl here between Texas and Notre Dame. I mean, like, that's what I want to see. But then y'all are like, "Whoa, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna do it?" I have a plan. There is a plan.
I'll give you a hint.
There's always a plan.
Can I say one thing about that Oregon game? Real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's hard to say, oh, I was right. I knew it. When the team's 13-0, number 1 seed, and they're playing in the college football playoff.
Oh, you can always say that.
But I think I had them as a pretender for probably 8 or 9 weeks this year. I was always
them and Miami. You had them both.
I knew there was no doubt in my mind that Oregon, Miami. I can't remember the other team.
I believe they were burnt orange.
Huh?
No, he didn't call Texas pretenders.
You might have been.
He
only
called Texas pretenders after the Georgia game. So
hey, you know what? Jude was.
I'll give you that.
I give Jude. Jude's good with his picks. I'm not upset. So, all right, y'all ready to talk about some games that haven't happened yet?
Yes.
All right, we got at 3 p.m. tomorrow. That's Central Standard Time. 1 p.m. Jude time. From Gerald J. Ford Stadium in Dallas, Texas, it's the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl. Now, the first question I have to ask, are they going to have enough beer at this game for Texas State, Hunter?
No.
Last year, Texas State drank the stadium dry. They bought all the beer in the stadium. They said they bought all the beer on their side, and then all their fans went to the other side and bought all the beer up there. So, Texas State, no matter how great you think your party school is, you've never partied as hard as Texas State.
That's true. It's 100% fact.
All right, well, let's talk about some pigskin here. We got North Texas at Texas State. This is kind of a home game for North Texas-ish. Texas State's favored by 14 in this game, Hunter. What do you think?
Spread's not big enough. I mean, look, we're going to score all the points. We're going to drink all the beer. And I would say we're going to take all their women, but all the best chicks in Texas go to Texas State anyway, so it doesn't really matter. They have nothing for us, right? Their quarterback left because he's like, man, Denton sucks. Their best wide receiver left because he's like, man, Denton sucks. Their coaches are going to leave because they're like, man, Denton sucks. All their best students, they go elsewhere because, man, Denton sucks. They can't even play this game in Denton because Denton sucks. There's no debate about it. All right, everybody knows that North Texas is a music school, and they're a worse music program than the school that can out-drink them down in San Marcos. I mean, I'll provide some on-field analysis. Jordan McLeod is an absolute dog. He's fought with his heart and may not take in Texas State to where he wanted. I may be disappointed. But we also have Brad Jackson right behind him, who's a true freshman who's going to whip Mean Green ass. We have Deion Hankins and Jelon Jenkins at running back, who's going to whip Mean Green ass. Sure, Ishmael Mahdi went to Arizona. Who cares? He lost the starting job anyway. Chris Don Jr., true freshman, gonna whip Mean Green ass. It's super easy to figure out. Tavion Coleman, Tyler Webb, all these guys are gonna come back and play the bowl game to whip Mean Green ass.
Jude, I feel like we had Stone Cold Steve Austin cut a promo here.
I know, man.
1 beer, what?
Michaels.
2 beer,
Shawn
what?
Michaels. Texas
3
State
beer,
alum,
what?
Shawn Michaels.
Speaking of wrestling, man, I think one of the best plays of that Texas and Arizona State game, we just moved back real quick, was the suplex that lineman did to to McAboo to get him into the end zone, man. That was
it should have been called. You can't do that.
Dragging the pile is a penalty, and it should have been called as such.
You can shove the pile. You can't drag it.
Yeah,
you can't drag the defender in the end
push,
zone.
You can push. You can't pull.
Yes.
And I thought that was awesome, though, man. I was like, oh, dude, they got some wrestling in here.
No, it's a great teammate play. I'll give them that 100%. But you want to talk about where's the penalty flag at? That was 4th down. It would have ended the game right there. But, hey. That's,
all right. We're talking about North Texas and Texas State. Hunter is always going to go with Texas State. Jude, would you like to pick this game?
Oh, I'm obviously going to go with Texas State as well. North Texas had to beat Temple in the last week of the season just to become bowl eligible. And Texas State, man, just from the last, review of the game or overview of the game, looks like they're going to whip some mean green ass. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Texas.
Christian's picking Texas State also. I don't see Christian. If Christian pops up in the next 10 seconds, I'll let him come on and pick. Oh, there he is. He's eating again. Christian, do they not feed you there at normal hours? Do you have to wait till dark
They
to
do.
eat? What's going on? Oh.
I don't eat. I'm really hungry. I normally don't eat.
Yeah. All right. Texas State, North Texas. Who are you taking? The Serve Pro First Responders Bowl.
Texas
State. Yeah, there you go.
Correct.
All right. It's Texas
Good
State
answer.
from all of us.
Good answer.
I'm actually going to go to work tomorrow. So I don't have to hear Hunter scream at me for 2 hours. I come home whenever they have a solid lead. All right. It's 6:30 p.m. on ESPN tomorrow night from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. We got the Duke's Mayo Bowl, where the winning coach of the Duke's Mayo Bowl gets mayonnaise dumped on his head. Ugh.
I think I'd purposely lose this game just to avoid it.
Yeah, just so I don't get shit dumped on my head. We have Minnesota, which PJ Fleck has a nice smooth head, so the mayonnaise wouldn't stick to anything on his head, versus Virginia Tech. And their coach does have hair, and I'm sure if they lose this game, the fans will want to throw him in the mayonnaise. You know what I mean? Christian, who are you taking in this Minnesota-Virginia Tech game?
Virginia Tech.
Virginia. Okay. All right, mute yourself so I don't have to hear you chew. All right. Jude, who are you taking in this Minnesota-Virginia Tech game?
I got Minnesota. I'm going to go with every team that beat USC this year.
I think Hunter and I talked about this already. We said there's no way Jude's not picking Minnesota. Oh, man. Hunter, Minnesota versus Virginia Tech. Who are you taking?
I gotta go with Minnesota. I like PJ Fleck, and they have stuff to go. They have some positives going for them. Quarterback Max Brosmer is way better quarterback than whatever quarterback is taking the field for Virginia Tech. I don't have a lot of confidence in Brent Pry, so I like the Gophers in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Minnesota. Minnesota's favored by 9. I think PJ Fleck with time is a hard guy to prep for, because he's going to really exploit your weaknesses. He's a really good coach. Brent Pry, I don't have the same feelings about. I just nothing there at Virginia Tech inspires me. They almost beat a very middle-ish Miami team earlier in the season. So I'm going to go Minnesota. All right, on Saturday, January 4th, from Thomas A. Robinson Stadium in Nassau, Bahamas. We have the Bahamas Bowl between the Buffalo Blue Bulls and the Liberty Flames. Buffalo's favored by 3 in this game. I know Liberty doesn't have their quarterback. I'm going to lean Bulls in this game. And that's about all I know about that. Hunter, what do you think on this one?
Yeah, similar thought process. They don't have Caden Salter. I think the best wide receiver is gone as well. Buffalo's kept more so far, from what I understand. Also, a bit of stylistic matchups here. Buffalo uses a lot of under center and pistol run plays, which Liberty has struggled to stop defensively. So I think Buffalo's going to key on that and really focus on those. It's a hard game for me to pick because I'm just not super well up on Buffalo. Of all the MAC schools, they're probably the one I follow the least. It's nothing against Buffalo. It's just I only have so much time. Liberty, I haven't really seen what their backup quarterback has. I don't assume it's much, so we'll see. But I like Buffalo in this one.
All right, Christian, Buffalo versus Liberty. Who are you taking?
Probably Buffalo.
Okay, they're favored by 3. All right, Jude.
I'm going to go with it. I'm going to say Buffalo. Now, Liberty's not playing with their quarterback, so I don't even know who their backup quarterback is. It doesn't bode well.
We can look, but I really don't want to invest that much time. And a game that I'm probably not going to watch. I'd rather watch Carson Wentz start for the Chiefs than watch Buffalo and Liberty play in the Bahamas Bowl. Hey, Hunter, too bad that Canada Dry doesn't have like the Toronto Bowl so they could send Texas State there so Texas State could literally drink Canada Dry. I'll be here all week.
Yeah, if there's any school that could do it, I know some cats.
Yeah. I mean, the rugby team could drink Canada Dry.
And then win a rugby match. Actually, I mean, we could keep up with their rugby teams in the bar, but on the pitch, I don't know.
Yeah.
Canada's got some
good
rugby players.
Let's talk about some college football playoff semifinal games. We're going to start with Thursday night, January 9th, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN from the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida. It's the number 7 Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the number 6 Penn State Nittany Lions. Notre Dame's favored by 1.5 points, and over-under on this game is 46.5. Not a lot of points. We're going to start with Christian. Christian, who do you take between Notre Dame and Penn State?
I mean, I'm probably gonna have to go with Penn State.
Okay, I'll be muting Christian now. All right, you're no longer allowed to. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Christian. All right. Christian's going with Penn State and another bite of food. I swear Christian does get to eat at home sometimes. Jude, are you? As much as Jude doesn't want to pick Notre Dame, Jude's thinking he's like,
this game might be the game of the year, guys. You know, I mean, shoot, both teams beat USC.
Who are you picking on this one?
I'm gonna go with Fighting Irish. I want to see the cast wall. So I'm gonna roll
the cast wall, the cast bowl, the cast Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Hunter. I think I know who you're going with, but go ahead and let America know who you're going with.
Yeah, America. All 5 people that you know. So with
JWC text here, we got to say hi to Jason. Thanks for jumping in. He says Notre Dame or Ohio State wins it all, 100%.
So the whole with this, Penn State's weapon is Tyler Warren, and the key to stopping Penn State is taking him away from Drew Aller and hitting Drew Aller. You want to see how every team's beating Penn State? They take Tyler Warren away and they hit the shit out of Drew Aller. So my thought process is that you saw Georgia take away the run game, or Notre Dame take away the run game away from Georgia and hit Gunnar Stockton. You've seen them all year except for one game take away each team's best player and hit the shit out of their quarterback. I suspect that's what they're going to do again to Penn State. And I don't think Penn State has the front to go and stop Notre Dame from running the ball with the quarterback or with Jeremiah Love. And if they do, Bo Collins is there to, for a relief valve. Brandon Faison, I can't remember his name. Faison and Jane Greathouse are all there. I really think it's going to be a tough matchup for Penn State. I think Notre Dame's a superior team. I think Penn State they beat 2 good teams, but this is still James Franklin in a big game, and it's going to strike. And I think Marcus Freeman's a far better coach already in terms of in big game play. He might struggle in small games. I think Marcus Freeman has a feel for big games. He likes big games. He lives for them. I'm going to take the Irish to win probably by 10.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Irish on this one. I'm a massive Notre Dame homer, like I've said from the beginning. I just think they do everything that Penn State does, but they do it better. Drew Aller's a better passer than Riley Leonard, but I think that he's not going to have time to throw the ball. And if they can't establish a solid run against Notre Dame, which it's going to be tough. I mean, they're like they're a combination between a Big Ten team and a SEC team. I mean, they have a really physical defensive line, but they can also attack the quarterback with pass rush and blitzes. And they can cover you on the back, and they have speed. It's not like they're slow. This isn't like Notre Dame of the last 12 years where you're like, well, they're good, but they're not great. But this team is different. This is a really good team. Offense isn't explosive, but it can be. But I'm gonna lean Notre Dame on this. I'm not gonna give a score. I'm just gonna say take the under.
Super impressive what Notre Dame's doing. Even when Kelly was there, with the academic standards that they have, really impressive how they build a team.
Yeah,
the more I see Marcus Freeman teams play, the more I want to call the whole Brian Kelly academics thing bullshit. I mean, he can recruit great players, and they play so much faster, so much more physically gifted players that don't seem to have any great issues there at Notre Dame. I really think Brian Kelly just kind of is a good recruiter. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't the kind of recruiter that people made him out to be there at Notre Dame. I mean, Marcus Freeman's taken those guys and take them to a different level. I mean, he hasn't recruited a great quarterback yet, but that's not really quarterback recruiting. You can't blame that on academic requirements. I mean, Andrew Luck had a 4,000 point GPA, so that's not academic requirements at all.
All right, we're gonna talk about this game now. All right. Friday, January 10th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN from Arlington Stadium, better known as Jerry World. It's the Cotton Bowl Goodyear Classic, featuring the number 8 seeded Ohio State Buckeyes versus the number 5 seeded Texas Longhorns. Now, Ohio State's favored by 6 right now with 53.5 points. I'll let Christian go first. Christian, you can pick this game.
I'm easily picking Texas, because once again they have amazing defense, but Ohio State's gonna have no chance whatsoever if they run it up the middle at all. I think their only goal is passing over the defense, but I mean, I don't think they're gonna be able to.
Okay, well, Hunter's gonna give some analytics on this game, but he's not gonna pick the game as per the whole season. I will pick the game. But Hunter's going to mention something here in just a second that's pretty important. Jude, I need you to lean Ohio State heavily here.
Well, I want the Cast Bowl, so obviously I got to pick Ohio State, right?
No, you can't talk about the jinx. You have to just. You
can't speak it in and out of existence.
All right.
That's like when you break a wishbone, you say your wish out loud. It fucking fucks everything up.
All right, so straight up, with no jinx involved, Ryan Day is putting it together to save his job. And I'm looking for Ohio State to come out and play just the way they did, this week against the last 2 weeks, actually, Tennessee and Notre Dame. They kind of smoked them both. And Texas is going to have, if Texas wants to be in the Cast Bowl, they're going to have their hands full, and they're going to have to play the best game of their season. Because I think the winner of Texas and Ohio State wins the national championship.
I agree 100%.
All right, Hunter. I know you're not going to pick the game, but I want you to give me some insights about what's going to happen. Give me a history lesson real quick, because I know you give some history about Ohio State's current quarterback and his former team, about how he played against Texas. And then you're going to talk about Ohio State's current defensive coordinator and the kind of defense that he likes to run. But did Texas solve that problem a few years back?
All right, some historionics for all watching. So
is that a word? It is now.
Yes.
All right.
So anyway, the last time Texas and Ohio State played in the state of Texas, Ohio State beat Texas 24-7 in 2006. The last time Ohio State and Texas played was in the Fiesta Bowl in 2008-2009 season, in which Texas defeated Ohio State in the first like I watched the 05 championship, but man, the first game I really fell in love with college football was that Fiesta Bowl game when I watched Colt McCoy throw it to Quan Cosby and the whole call. What a way to end his Longhorn career. That was a really special game to watch for Texas to go and beat that Ohio State team that was, I believe, undefeated and it was like, oh, we got snubbed from the national championship, and they won, and that was awesome. They had the Heisman Trophy winners who they had, Troy Smith, and they beat them. He didn't do anything in that game either. It was a fun game to watch. Now talking about the current Ohio State, current Texas teams, Ohio State in all the college football playoff games, every single one of them has not beaten an SEC team. So that's fact one. But on the other side, Texas, in their one CFP appearance, has lost to a PAC team. So to a future Big Ten team. So that's something to think about, I suppose. But about
maybe
Ohio
we talk
State
about
and Texas itself.
Jim Knowles' defense.
I'm getting there. You gotta let me set everything up. Will Howard, the quarterback of Ohio State, in his 4 years as a off and on starter at K-State, never defeated Texas. Not even the 5-7 dog shit Texas team, in which he ran a 75-yard touchdown. I watched it. I turned the game off after he did it. And then I checked back later, and Texas ended up winning somehow. So I don't know. With that, he's never beaten Texas, and obviously now he's at Ohio State. A lot better talent around him at K-State. And then for Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator at Ohio State, Sark matched up against him in 2020 when he was at Oklahoma State, and he runs a 3-high flyover defense at times. They go from 2 high to 3 high a lot. They like to keep both safeties back off the ball because they like to prevent passing. The only time they went to a single high look was when they played Michigan, and you saw how that worked out. So I don't necessarily know that that's the combination for them. But I do expect him to go 3 high against Texas. And the way that Sark has chosen to attack 3 high his entire career is either to go with heavy 12 personnel, which is where one of your 2 tight ends is actually an offensive lineman, and to try to just go physically ground and pound the other team, or to go 5 wide and basically air raid them to death, or really run and shoot. Sark's more of a run and shoot offense than an air raid in terms of route choice and quarterback reads and everything like that. So we'll see how Sark chooses to attack it. It's a very interesting matchup. On the other side, with Quinn Ewers is the only player of the Ohio State 2020 recruiting class, where there's players on Ohio State still in that recruiting class other than Quinn Ewers, to ever defeat Michigan. So that's something to think about. My personal feeling on the game is there's a couple key players. One, for Texas, your 2 key players and how they perform is 1, Quinn Ewers. And 2 is not a player at all. It's Steve Sarkisian. Does Steve Sarkisian pick one way to attack the other team and just roll through the entire game instead of trying to fall on, try to switch back and forth, right? Just choose one form of attack and stick to it, hell or high water. Personally, I feel like that the best choice is to go 5 wide and be a Big 12 team and let Quinn throw the balls 100 times. If it loses you the game, it loses the game. I have no idea, though. On the defense, and then for Ohio State, your 2 players is 1, can Will Howard show up in a tight game? His whole career, he struggled in tight games. He has not shown up in tight games. When it gets tight, he struggles. He plays what I call hero ball, what a lot of people call hero ball. He tries to force the ball to people. He tries to hold on to it, tries to do everything himself, and he struggles. And then number 2 is Jeremiah Smith. If he can get open against Texas, it's going to be a long day for Horn fans. It's all about how Texas is going to attack Will Howard and keep Jeremiah Smith from lighting up the scoreboard. So do with that all what you will. I'm not going to pick this game, but this is a tough matchup for the Horns. But it's not. I don't know that's necessarily going to be the cakewalk that Ohio State fans think it will be. I just hope Texas wins. I have no idea though.
All right. No, here's my thoughts on the game. This kind of matches up well for Texas. Texas gets a full 10 days off, which is going to be a big deal because they need some rest after that game. Something that Ohio State's going to do well is they're gonna be able to run the ball, but they're gonna be able to move the ball between the 20s well against Texas. But when we get to the red zone defense, Texas's red zone defense is good enough to stop Ohio State because Michigan's red zone defense was good enough to stop Ohio State, and they can play a similar style of defense that Michigan can. My thought is how does Ryan Day attack Texas? Is he going to go and be offensive? Is Chip Kelly going to try to be offensive, or is Chip Kelly going to shrink in big games like Chip Kelly did as a play caller at Oregon, where they run into teams, they're the heavy favorite, and they get boat raced because he gets too conservative because he doesn't want to make mistakes? Does Will Howard struggle against Texas like he did at Kansas State? Those are things that are going to be answered. They do have Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson, but the only one guy can touch the ball on every play. And Texas' defense is just as fast as either Quinshon Judkins or Travion Henderson. They've proved that they can stop the side to side. Who the referee's going to be for the game is my most interesting thing.
They're either going to be ACC or Big 12 refs, which I don't like one of those choices. But
they can't be Mountain West.
I read that they're either going to be ACC or Big 12. I don't know.
If Kevin Marr shows up there, I might not have any hair on Tuesday or next Thursday. I might have pulled it all out. I don't know. Anyways, they'll get no favors from Big 12 refs. If anybody's sitting there thinking they're like, well, they played in the Big 12 last year, the Big 12 refs, no, they won't. They didn't get any help with the Big 12 refs.
Big 12's totally going to call it fair to their biggest money.
I don't really see how you can have Big 12 refs at this game to start with, because the Big 12 commissioner came out today and talked about the game, and the Big 12 commissioner literally picked teams against Texas last year, and it was total unprofessional. Brett Yormark shouldn't have never been the Big 12 commissioner after his comments, but it was fine. Texas won the Big 12 in their last appearance there and left, and it just is what it is. What are my thoughts on the game? I'm going to stick with the game real quick. I don't like the referee situation. Texas has been prone to not get calls. Big 10 refs especially. Big 12 refs have hurt Texas in the past. I hate bringing the referees, but when Texas has to play two teams, they don't do well. I felt like they had to play two teams yesterday, but it is, it is what it is. I'm gonna leave that out. We'll leave it on the field stuff here. I think Quinn Ewers is going to throw for a ton of yards against Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to have a hard time stopping Texas. They're going to line up. They're going to hit them with a lot of speed. The name you need to look for that's going to be the impact player of the game, it's going to be Jadon Blue. Jadon Blue is going to be incredibly difficult to cover out of the backfield. He is the fastest player on the field. Ohio State doesn't have anybody that's as fast as Jadon Blue. Jadon Blue is also as big as Travion Henderson. So you got to think about that. He is not an easy guy to take down. He does have some fumble problems, but the speed is going to kill Ohio State. They're going to have no answer for that. Jack Sawyer needs to get pressure on Quinn Ewers. If Jack Sawyer gets pressure on Quinn Ewers, he might have a chance. But Texas right tackle will be back next week, and he will shut Jack Sawyer down. Jack Sawyer is not going to be able to do what he thinks he's going to be able to do against Texas.
Did you ask for
granted that. How's Will Howard going to play? I don't know. How's any of them going to play? I don't know. I'm picking Texas to win this game, but it's not going to be close. So I think Texas blows them out. I think that's the only way they're going to be able to win. They're going to have to go and just run the score up on Ohio State. They're going to get Ohio State down. Ohio State's going to have to jump from being a run team to a big shot team. They're going to have a bunch of turnovers. Will Howard's going to have at least 2 fumbles and probably 2 interceptions. That's my pick. All right. That's going to wrap up everything in the semifinal. Next week, we're going to have a college football playoff, and Jude's either going to get to see Cass gloat about the Cass Bowl or not. Well, we're either going to have a W or we're not. Now, with that said, before we cut out of here, we're going to reflect on last season, and we're going to have some things that we think we should have for 2025 college football. I'm going to go first because I know Hunter's going to steal my thing. For 2025, something I would like to see is we no longer have conference officials. The officials all come from one pool. They're the college football officials, and they're all developed. All the crews are designed. They don't cover just one conference. They can't be bought and paid for by one conference. They are all officials from one pool. We have the universal, kind of like the NFL. You have the, and they get graded, they get ranked, and they can get bumped off of teams and stuff like that. But we have one college. We have one referee pool where all college football officials come from. They're not Big 12 refs. They're not Big 10 refs. They're not SEC refs. They're not Mountain West refs. They're not Pac-2 refs. They're not ACC refs. They are college football refs. We don't have to worry about, like, are we going to get a favorable call? Because college football is dominated by referees constantly. And I really feel like we have orders that they're given. Last year when Texas played Washington, for 3.5 quarters, the Big Ten refs pulled flags on Texas the entire time. And then the half a quarter they didn't, all of a sudden Texas came back in the game. It affected the game. I watched the game like 3 times, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen piss poor refereeing. So I know I pick on it. Jude's tired of hearing me talk about the fucking refs. He's like, Cass, shut up. But that's something I want. I want universal referees. I want them all ranked and graded, and you get to keep your job based on your skill and your ranking, not on your conference affiliation. That's what I want to say. Hunter, if you could fix one thing for college football in 2025, what would you fix?
Automatic flag on every UTSA player, automatic ejection, and all UTSA fans, considering they're all well over 355 pounds, I vote that UTSA's name is changed to the La Tortas.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know why it's so funny. Hunter.
Now, in reality, I agree with what you said. And we need a college football commissioner. Like, straight up, like, there's a commissioner of college football. No more conference commissioners in terms of, like, they could have all those different powers. One college football commissioner, and probably a reorganization of the sport along the lines. I think that we almost had it right in terms of conferences about 20 years ago when the Big East had 12 teams, the ACC had 12 teams, the Big 10 had 11 teams. We could make them 12. SEC has 12, Big 12 Conference, Southwest Conference, bring them back however you want to do it, Pac-12, all that. I think that we need to go back to that system. I think that's a lot better, and we can even out the sport in terms of regionality, fan engagement, and it still be a great sport. I just think that the way we do it now is just too focused on trying to be NFL.
Pac-12 great again?
Yeah. And then, maybe we could think of some form of, like, relegate. Like, if we would go to, like, a 64 team upper and a 110 or 75 team lower, we have, those top 64, but then we have relegation and promotion on some level. That gives bowl season more meaning, right? You're a 6-6 Oklahoma team, and you lose this bowl game, you go to the fucking Sun Belt. You know what I mean? Like, that puts a lot on coaches, a lot on programs. It could change a lot, And then we talk about NIL. I think that we need to move forward and say these guys are now employees of the university, and because that's what they are. There's nothing wrong with that. I think at this point that's what the sport has come to, is that these guys are employees, like NFL players are. Sign them to long-term contracts or to binding 2-year contracts is my personal thought. And then when they finish that 2-year contract, they have the choice to re-sign or go find another contract somewhere else. That way it allows teams to get rid of guys they view as problems, and it allows guys to go find better opportunities, allows you to bring in better players. I think that should be the way it goes. That way it fixes NIL, fixes the transfer portal, and it basically just puts everything into perspective of how we are now. You're not going to get rid of NIL. It's a good thing, but that's the solution I think is best.
All right, Jude. If you get one fix, what would you pick?
Man, you really got to ask. Freaking transfer portal, man. Close that window in December. So, kids don't decide to transfer, miss their bowl games. So, man, I just over the transfer portal. And I know that's part of what you were saying right now, being employees, if they don't like it, you can go to another school as part of the transfer portal. I just don't like it. Not a fan of that at all.
Well, I heard an interesting thing tonight. Last week, Sark was asked about it, and he said what they should do is push spring back into, like, May, and then have the transfer portal open at the end of April, beginning of May. That way guys can move around. You get them on campus for the spring transfer portal season, or there as school ends, and then it's like the NFL where you have, like, mini camps, and then you build your way into fall ball instead of going and having guys jumping ship. But like Hunter said, also, I think guys need to be set to binding contracts where you have to finish the season, whether that's the conference championship or the bowl game beyond that.
Playing 3 games and then saying, "Oh, if I play a 4th, I can't transfer." They got to get that.
But I think they need to build some things like that. But that's a great thing there. But
who's having trouble moving, man?
Christian, if you had to pick one thing to change next year for college football, what would you do?
I don't really have anything I want to change because no matter what I say, nothing will top what Hunter said. So I don't really have anything to say.
Should we have made you go first and then made Hunter go last? Is that what you're saying? Next year, make Hunter always finish every conversation?
No, because I would still have nothing to say.
Well, I'll give you something to work on for next year, right? All right. Christian says he wants to go before Hunter on every segment from now on. That's what Christian would change for 2025.
Sorry, I decided tonight to cut wrestling promos.
That's what it sounded like. That's what I heard.
All right, that's going to wrap the show. You're going to see us next on Friday or Thursday. And let's see, 19th, 18th, 17th. I think January 16th is the next time you're going to see our sweet smiling faces because we're going to have college football coming up this next week. We're not going to be on the what's the date? The 2nd? We're not going to be on the 9th. We'll be off for that because I don't want to interfere with the CFP games. I would hate for the CFP to take a dip in ratings because we're on, but we're going to catch y'all on January 16th to kind of give us a week off. We're going to be live. We're going to cover the national championship game. We're going to recap the season. We'll all come up with our recaps, our season recaps, and what we're looking for the next season. And before we get out of here tonight, I want to thank everybody for showing up. Thanks to Bocce. Thanks to JWC Tech. Thanks to Power Stroke Jude, as always. Thanks to Pat Paulson and everybody else that's here. I want to thank all the panelists for being here all season. Christian, thanks for jumping in mid-season. We're glad to have you back. Jude, as always, I'm glad you're feeling better. I'm glad you're here. Hunter, thanks for your excellent insight all the way around. And like Bocce says, take care, everyone. Stay safe, and remember, tomorrow's never promised. Prayers for all. And with that said, I'll let everybody say their words as we leave here. I'll put Christian first. Christian, I'll put you in front of Hunter, finally. Here you go. Solo layout. Go ahead and say your goodbyes here, bud.
Same as always, it has been amazing. I love doing the show, and even though I joined halfway through the season, it's still been a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to be here, hopefully all of next season.
All right, I like it too. Cool, Jude Santa Cruz.
Everyone, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. It's been a fun season, just like the previous two. Look forward to next year. Remember, fight on, VRSC, and V is for victory. Can't spell SEC without S and C. Not everyone.
All right, Hunter.
Well, as always, eat 'em up, cats, and beat Eagle ass.
All right. I want to thank everybody for being here this whole season. We got one more show to go. Or maybe a recap show, too. Who knows? It just depends on who's playing the national championship and how excited I am. Hey, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank all our panelists for being here week in and week out. I want to thank Lindsay for being here, even though he wasn't here today. This was kind of a late deal. I wasn't going to go on originally. I was going to take tonight off, but I decided that I was going to go on because Hunter talked me into it. I'd like to thank all of y'all for being here. And remember, the team that scores the most points always wins the game. Thanks for watching.